Good morning, everyone. How are you? All good? All right. Once again, good morning and welcome back. I'm sure you had a very fruitful and meaningful conversations during our sessions early this morning. I'm Fritzy De Vera. I'm from the Philippines. I'm from De La Salle University, and I'm happy to be your moderator for this plenary session. We continue our symposium with a plenary session focusing on the topic Service Learning for a Fragmented World, Humanistic and Spiritual Approaches to Healing and Transformation. Yesterday, we listened to a lot of stories, different stories, and we recognized how our institutions and our students are confronted with conflict and vulnerabilities and are exposed to different levels of fragility. Across communities and within individuals, we continue to witness brokenness and also a longing to reconnect, to restore, and to reimagine. This session for our plenary invites us to reflect on service learning, grounded in both humanistic and spiritual values, can be a space for healing. We hope to gain insights on the role of education and community engagement in bridging divides, whether social, cultural, or personal, and in nurturing the kind of relationships that foster peace, healing, and shared purpose. So today, we are very fortunate to have 4 speakers to share their insights. 3 of them are here, present in person, and 1 has sent her video message. So we'll have the sharing of the recorded video towards the last speaker. All right? So I'm sure you're very excited. Before we, of course, listen, allow me to introduce our first speaker. Father Peter Balais, S.J., joined the Jesuit order in 1981. He worked for many years in refugee service in Africa and was ordained a priest in Zimbabwe in 1988. Starting in 2000, he headed the German Jesuit mission, responsible for development projects and missionary work worldwide. From 2007 to 2015, he served as the International Director of the Jesuit Refugee Service based in Rome with global responsibilities. Since 2016, he has been the Executive President of Jesuit Worldwide Learning, headquartered in Geneva, and this is an initiative of the Jesuit universities that provides access to higher education and academic degrees via the internet for refugees, the poor, and other marginalized people around the world. So friends, let's all listen to Father Peter.
I do it from here. It has to be red. It works. I thought it has to be green. Okay, good morning. And thank you very much for the honor to be with you and to present a bit that model, what we developed, which has grown over 15 years of higher education at the margins. And I try to highlight a few aspects of that, what we understand, the service learning model, and so on. The best thing is to start out with a short 1-minute video to present a bit what is Jesuit Worldwide Learning. I hope it works. The audios. That was my question. Does the audio work? You have to click here.
At least you can bring the universities to their
Good.
If you cannot take the refugees to the universities, at least you can bring the universities to the refugee camp.
Jesuit Worldwide Learning collaborates with universities to offer accredited academic programs to students in crisis regions who otherwise would not have the opportunity to study.
What motivates me to pursue this cause is because I have passion to support the community.
We focus on supporting students who are forcibly displaced, politically or culturally oppressed, indigenous, young women, and students with physical disabilities.
Education is the force that can rebuild our futures.
I came to learn this other code that I don't have to fear anything. I have to challenge myself, especially this time that we are women. Most of the time we're underrated.
So this work started in 2010 with an idea to bring higher education, make it accessible for online to refugees, but it has grown over the years, as we heard. It's not just for refugees, for forcibly displaced, but we reach out a lot now to indigenous communities, to oppressed minorities, and to young women. These are a little bit the places we are also going to visit. Instead of me talking a lot, we have a few students talking. And our mission, we formulated as learning together as a global community. It's not synchronous, but we have the virtual classroom, always the student mixed from different countries and cultures. So they have to comment and study together and write to one another and so on. And, but we also have the local community, I'll come to that. So, but it also, what we learned is, and in this fragmented world, we added these words recently in our mission and vision statement because we learned our students also act. They do something with it, and that's also what we want. And because of our Peace Leader course is very good, and a number of courses also on human rights with the KU here, so on. This is our vision, that the students at the margins act for the peace in their communities and human dignity and all what we want. And it is important, it is a collaboration between universities and students who come together in solidarity and service to marginalized communities. So it's de facto, it's a service model. We have this year by now, 12,200 students might reach 13,000 like last year in 40 countries and 116 learning centers. This is not a program where a student individually signs up. He only has access if there's a learning center, and we choose with whom we partner, where the learning centers are. It's not, and then the aspect of community is very important for the model. What is also very important for the model, it is a collaboration. We are de facto, we have here the universities, and it's not just Jesuit universities, also some Catholic universities, like the Catholic University of Eichstätt, which, by the way, had the highest number of students and courses delivered in the last 5 years. So we are strong partners here. So we have a couple of Jesuit universities in different parts of the world, the US, South America, India, Germany, and Sweden, and so on. And you have on the other side the communities. This is an important aspect to understand. We are not a university ourselves. We are basically the platform. On our platform, universities, we design courses, and particularly in a pedagogy which is always community-based and service-oriented. In all the courses, that's why I don't even say it explicitly, they are that way. So we build courses, programs with these universities, we deliver them. The students on that side are students directly of one of these universities. That's very important. Yeah? So we, in a way, we are service for the universities to reach the marginalized, and the marginalized to have the chance to study there. What is very important is communities. And I think that is also the aspect how this program is a service program, because it is in the community where the students live in their communities, and automatically, naturally, they do something in the community. One doesn't even have to say it, actually. Down here, you have the Masai Mara in Kenya, then you have the girls in Afghanistan, and then in Wabasumako in Ecuador, indigenous community, and in Sri Lanka, one of the girls in the middle, she started the English language program for her colleagues, because Islam is a minority in Sri Lanka. They learn something, the girls. So it's always community initiated, and then also our graduate students start often the programs. They have studied, so we can do that. So it's kind of has that dynamic, and that makes it very much service-oriented. Here, you can see this Kakum is our biggest learning center. Just a few figures we had. This year we have 1,373 students, 113 bachelor students, in bachelor programs, 257 in short cycle tertiary education, academic, one-year programs, or 445 in programs more professionally oriented, 6 months, one-year programs, and 695 in English language. That's just, and the student managed it all. Our graduates, they manage the center. The students come and go when they study. But let's listen to one of our students here.
We need to go and aim for higher. We need to go complete our CLS peacefully, enroll for the BSEs, expand our knowledge so that we can meet the needs of the society. We know that our society is facing a lot of challenges with this globalization, or maybe the civilization that can happen. We come to know that Kakuma is still behind in terms of so many things. So the initiative is ours to ensure that we join hands together, use the skills acquired in order to build our society, bring greater changes, and ensure that we live a happy life, not only for us, but also we feel it for the coming generations. So the new cohorts, still at home, you're much welcome, and may we continue encouraging more female students to ensure that we equalize the number of male or the ratio of male to female at the tables.
So you see, she welcomed the new students, and they introduce them, and they also say what it is all about, these studies and so on. The photos up there are graduates of the Peace Leader or the Bachelor. We celebrated this year. The Bachelor is with the XIM with Bhubaneswar in India, the Peace Leader with Nairobi with the Kima University College. Now we go to the other side of the world, to Latin America. And let's cross the river here to go into the Yasuni Park here. That's Ecuador, Quito, down here. We cross here the river in Coca, and then we drive 100 kilometers to visit the Waorani community where we have a learning center, students. Okay, don't take the whole thing. And you can see the students studying the traditional community house, and then here's preparing for the celebration of the graduation. And then here, let's listen to Laura, what she has to say.
Hoy estamos aquí para demostrar que como Waorani podemos ponernos en pie, que un Waorani es capaz de estudiar y salir adelante. Para nosotros el estudio significa mantener en la lucha para nuestros derechos a la vida, a la libertad y la búsqueda de mantener nuestra identidad. Como estudiantes, no podemos caminar solos y nosotras hemos avanzado. a llegar hasta aquí gracias a nuestras familias que le han acompañado, nuestros profesores y animadores, que nos han dado herramientas y espacio para valorar lo que somos. Esta graduación no es tilde una etapa, sino el principio. Hoy les digo a ustedes, quienes nos acompañan aquí a pensar de las dificultades. Yo aún tengo un sueño y es un sueño profundamente anudado en mi corazón. Sueño que un día esta comunidad dedicaron tengan más profesionales que amen su identidad y juntos a los mejoremos para bien el futuro. Sueño que nuestros hijos sigan aprendiendo nuestra lengua, nuestra cultura, nuestra tradición. Hoy tengo un sueño que un día caminemos unidos juntos, luchamos por nuestro territorio. Tierra de la libertad, donde mis antepasados murieron, tierra orgullo de los abuelos y que todas las casas guaraní se canten la libertad, la alegría y el orgullo de ser guaraní. Somos mujeres luchadoras como nuestros abuelos, como defendieron. Y tenemos que mantener firme y demostrar quiénes somos.
Ja, die haben im September auch, Anfang Oktober, diese Graduation gefeiert, die 4 Mädchen. Ah, so. Yeah, I was told I should speak slowly for the Spanish speakers, but now the Spanish speakers had their choice. So now, okay, sorry. so I speak slowly English. So they celebrated their graduation of a course, Ecotourism, which we have with Spanish, with the Cavallana in Cali. They are regular students of the Cavallana in Cali. It will be also offered next year as co-accreditation with IQS in Barcelona and the KU here. It's a very popular course, and as you can see, now the 4 young ladies, they continued online with the Watawasa University in Quito, an indigenous university. So once the students, the poor, have done the first step into the academic work, they get on and they find their way. But they stay in the community, and they've already prepared the house and some guest house for ecotourism to receive tourists. They want to develop a community-based tourist program. Yasuni is one of the highest biodiversity areas in the world, and they are the owners. It's their land, and if they stand there, have the capacity to defend, they will do that. And you have heard that. Now we go just up in Quito to listen to another student, again for the Spanish speakers, Rosario.
¿Qué estás haciendo ahora con lo que has aprendido en el curso de ecoturismo? Pues bien, los conocimientos que adquirí en el proceso me permitieron dar a conocer a mi familia y amigos la importancia del ecoturismo. ¿Por qué es importante? ¿Y en qué aspectos influye? Económico, cultural, social. Quiero destacar estos 3 aspectos, ya que el tema económico es importante porque ayuda en la producción de trabajo y en el desarrollo del país. En el tema cultural, pues si bien es cierto, tenemos una cultura bastante amplia, permite que las personas se empapen de ella, conozcan, compartan, sean incluidos en la misma y tener un mejor lugar para vivir. ¿Cuáles son tus metas después de lo aprendido en el curso de ecoturismo? Pues mis metas principales han sido seguir aprendiendo, conocer más sobre ecoturismo. Es un tema bastante bonito. Mi segunda meta también sería aprender mucho más y cuidar la naturaleza, cómo cuidarla, y seguir aprendiendo para poder enseñar a las personas sobre este tema. ¿Qué te motivó a seguir el curso de ecoturismo? Pues mi motivación principal ha sido mi familia, su apoyo incondicional.
We have learned that online learning in this way is also giving access to people who normally are excluded because they're impaired. And the two ladies, okay, they're out of 22 made it. It's because we cannot lower the level. But they made it, and they will be now the facilitators to help their colleagues, because in the Fe Alegria school they have a whole class of young people who are deaf. So that's just an example of young people growing in that and doing the next step. Let's go to Iraq, to a refugee camp and as you can see, our learning center is basically a container. Our university is 3 containers where the students come together, and he speaks of your Hajar. Let's listen a little bit to him.
In my mind, the sense of community is so important, and we should all work together to enhance it. We should stand together, help each other, and growing through education. My name is Hajar, and I am from Syria, but I live in Domis camp for Syrian refugees in Iraq. I study with Jesuit Worldwide Learning, GWL, and for me, everything in Joule has been positive. It has given a very special effect and meaningful experience to my life. With GWL, I found a place where I feel safe, respected, and motivated. I feel like I belong. Everyone is kind and supportive. I feel like a second home, a place where we can learn, make friends, and grow in confidence. This center has helped me to understand that learning is not just about getting knowledge for yourself. It's also about using that you learn to help others. GWL showed me that education can bring people together and give us the strength to face challenges. For me, GWL is not just an organization. It is a community that based on education and peace. Thank you very much, GWL.
Okay, it's praising us a little bit much, but actually there are many with a very good positive experience. Let's go to the last place, to Afghanistan. We have had 3,000 students in Afghanistan last year. Then the Taliban shut down the local organization. They put 16 young men into prison. 4 are still in the prison, blaming them for spreading Christianity, which is not correct. The girls they didn't touch, but the girls had always studied behind. Then we shut down the system, and but they pleaded with us, please, we would like to study. So we reopened in May and have again 1,200 students, 1,000 in English language programs, 200 and plus in the 1 year and bachelor program, but also the thing, and 80 or over 80 with the KU, and I come to that. Here you see there's a nice photo of the girls. They hide their face because the Taliban shouldn't know who is studying. It's more these recent days, our study groups, you know. We are forming now study groups in the thing. And then this photo was taken 8th of January before the Taliban shut down. But you are assured we have again the students studying, and 80 are doing, and I say that, a program learning facilitator with this university. Out of the 80, 60 completed now successfully. And you need to know the Taliban girls cannot finish anymore the high school. But we found a way with the flexibility of the university still to integrate them, to enroll girls who are almost there, you know, to study. It's a bit more of a challenge because they miss 1 or 2 years to catch up on the academic level, but they want to learn, and they pleaded with Marina, please, you know, all that. This is the way we need to find solutions for the people who are excluded, who are oppressed. And now we have only women in Afghanistan, and let's close with that song and congratulate them. And they still have fun, you know, it's not just everything is trist. So when they celebrate their graduation, we send the thing. So online learning makes it possible under the radar of or whatever the Taliban. So thank you very much. Any detailed question we can then discuss afterwards. So I spare you a bit.
Thank you very much, Father Peter. Thank you for sharing the gifts of the JWL-KU program and how this program drives the transformation of refugee communities in different parts of the world. So we see the power of service learning in the context of displacement and oppression. And through this program, we are affirmed, right, that the universities become a space of hopeful becoming, where learners become agents of healing, empowerment, and change. So thank you, Father Peter. Okay, so hold on to your questions and insights. We'll have them later on after all the speakers. Now, our second speaker, we have Father Ezio Bono. Father Ezio is a religious priest of the Congregation of the Holy Family of Bergamo. He has carried out his pastoral and educational ministry in various international contexts, including Italy, Switzerland, Brazil, and Mozambique. He currently holds the position of Associate Professor of SAVE University in Mozambique. He is a contract professor and researcher at LUMSA University in Rome, and he is a visiting professor in the master's and doctorate programs at the Pedagogical University of Maputo. Since 2020, he has been coordinator of the Global Compact of Education project at the Dicastery for Culture and Education of the Holy See. He is the author of numerous publications in the field of philosophy, education, African philosophy, pedagogy, and in particular, the Global Compact of Education. So please welcome once again, Father Ezio.
For this talk on the theme Service Learning for a Fragmented World, Humanistic and Spiritual Approaches to Healing and Transformation, I had prepared in Rome a text that began with the fascinating and tormented figure of the young Swedish writer Stig Dagerman, who took his own life at the age of 31. I wanted to speak about Viktor Frankl logotherapy, the psychology of the concentration camps, and to conclude with the proposal of a pedagogy of the deep, anticipating some theme of my next book, which I will publish at the end of this year, or at least I hope so. However, yesterday I decided to write a new speech because I came to know about an extraordinary woman and educator who deeply inspired me, Saint Walburga. And do you know where she is buried? Right here in Eichstätt, in the Abbey of Saint Walburga, just 5 minutes from the hotel where we are staying. So yesterday morning, I went to visit the Abbey and to learn more about her life. I decided to take her as the red thread guiding our reflection on the theme of education, and above all, of education for service, service learning, understood as care. Saint Walburga was born in Wessex, England, around 710. She was the daughter of Saint Richard the Pilgrim and the sister of Saint Willibald, the first bishop of Eichstätt, whose statue stands in the market square, and Saint Hunibald, abbot of Heidenheim. She was also the niece of Saint Boniface, a family that was already a constellation of holiness. Her biography is an educational parable. Each episode of her life is a pedagogical metaphor, a star that can guide our path. The first point, to educate is to undertake a journey. Walburga left her homeland, England, to reach Germany. She crossed the sea, faced storms, and escaped a terrible fate. To educate means precisely this, to dare the journey. It is to begin a path of knowledge that leads us to discover new worlds. To educate is to help young people step out of themselves, encounter others, and explore the world with courage and trust, an education that goes forth. The second point, to educate is to lead. In Heidenheim, Walburga, together with her brother, took on the direction of a double monastery of both men and women. After her brother Hunibal's death in 761, she became abbess, guiding not only the women's community, but also the men's. A woman who led men as well for 18 years until her death. This structure, transplanted from England, was completely novelty for Germany. To educate means this, to lead, to teach the art of coexistence. In a fragmented world, we need educators who know how to indicate the way, not to control, but to create spaces of respect and dialogue. Walburga did exactly that, with firmness and gentleness, and embodying an inclusive and prophetic form of educational leadership. The third point, to educate is to cultivate the inner life. In the monastery, Walburga lived a life of prayer and contemplation. Her spirituality was active, incarnate, and profound. Walburga was a witness to an inner life that transforms, to an education that begins from within, unifying what the external world tends to divide. As Pope Leo XIV reminded us last week in his address to educators, to educate, especially in Catholic schools, means to form sense, not calendar sense, but everyday sense. The first of the three new objectives added by Pope Leo XIV to the 7 pre-existing ones of the Global Compact on Education invites us to restore to education its spiritual breath, spaces of silence, conscience, and dialogue with God. In his apostolic letter on education, drawing maps of the future, he calls for a spiritual pedagogy, which I would describe as a pedagogy of the deep. Unlike depth psychology, which goes deep into the human psyche, this pedagogy goes deep into the soul. It educates to the search for meaning, for if life has no meaning, everything loses its meaning, including education itself. The third point, to educate for service learning. Walburga did not limit herself to prayer. She worked, healed, and served. Her monastery was a place of welcome, healing, and fraternity. She has a witness to wisdom that heals and to knowledge that becomes love. To educate means this, to transform knowledge into service. In the same apostolic letter, Pope Leo says that a school cannot lose the poor, for if it loses the poor, it loses itself. He also speaks repeatedly of education and service as an indivisible pair. Service learning is the pedagogy of reciprocity. One learns by serving and serves by learning. After her death, a fragrant liquid known as the oil of Saint Walburga began to flow from her tomb. Consider miraculous. The sister gave me the oil of this saint. She was called the wonder-working saint. To educate, then, is to pour out the oil of love that heals the wounds of those entrusted to our care. This is some picture about the life of Saint Walburga. In 1835, at the initiative of King Ludwig I of Bavaria, the abbey was restored. The nuns were granted permission to welcome new novices, but on one condition: they had to commit themselves to the education of the young women of Eichstätt. This episode is not just a historical note. It is living proof that education, when born of spirituality and care, looks toward the future and draws new maps of hope. Because to educate is always an act of hope. The light of Walburga continues to shine, transforming itself into school, formation, and accompaniment. Saint Walburga is not merely a figure of the past. She is an educational constellation that still shines today. In fact, when I spoke yesterday with one of the sisters from the Abbey, she told me that the community currently consists of about 20 nuns, several of them young. I believe we cannot leave Eichstätt without visiting the Abbey of St. Walburga, not as tourists, but as educators in search of meaning. Entering the crypt, let us allow ourselves to be embraced by the silence, to listen to the voice that does not speak, but enlightens, like a constellation in the sky, showing us the way toward a pedagogy of spirituality, a pedagogy of the deep. Walburga teaches us that education is journey, leadership, interiority, and service. And if, as Pope Leo XIV says, we are called to draw new maps of hope among the constellation of the sky, Walburga shows us how to do so, with courage, with care, with silence, with love. And we, as educators, can truly become constellation of meaning, capable of illuminating the nights of our time, of lighting the way for our young people who so often seem to have lost it. Tonight, beneath the cloudy sky of Eichstätt, in these November evenings, let us sharpen our gaze. Perhaps beyond the veil of mist, we may glimpse the star of Walburga, which after so many centuries still shines in the sky of this land. In any case, even when we cannot see the stars, we can be certain that they are always there. So, too, with us educators, sometimes, often, we may seem invisible, but the important thing is that, like the star, even when we are unseen, we are always there. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Ezio. Thank you for sharing with us the life and the story of Saint Walburga. Definitely, we'll make sure we have time to visit the Abbey, maybe during the weekend. We are definitely reminded that service learning becomes transformative when rooted in spirituality and directed towards healing, where knowledge becomes love and learning becomes a form of service. And for us educators present here, we are invited to lead, to accompany our students to dare in their journey of education and be the light and serve as quiet constellations. I like how Father said, quiet constellations of lighting the way with empathy and hope, and so we can form everyday saints from our students. Looking forward to your book, Father Ezio. Okay, so allow me to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Father Markian Ilya Pikichin, is a priest of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, whose journey reflects a deep commitment to faith, learning, and service. Father Markian completed his initial formation at the Holy Spirit Seminary in Lviv from 2012 to 2017, while earning his bachelor's degree in philosophy and theology at the Ukrainian Catholic University. Drawn to further theological exploration, he pursued advanced studies in Germany, completing both an intensive language program and a master's degree in theology at the Catholic University of Eichstätt-Ingolstadt between 2017 and 2021. Father Markian also served as head of the project department of the Ukrainian Educational Platform, a non-governmental organization dedicated to educational and social development from 2020 to 2022. He's currently a doctoral student at the University of Augsburg and serves as the vice rector of the Collegium Oriental in Eichstätt, where he continues to accompany young seminarians and foster intercultural dialogue within the church. Please join me in welcoming Father Markian Ilya Pikichin.
Dear professors, dear students, dear friends, it's a great honor for me to stand here today and to share a few reflections with you. When I first saw the topic that was suggested to me, I have to admit I was a bit unsure at first. Topics like this often sound a bit artificial for me, like asking a doctor to explain to other doctors why treating patients is important. I would actually prefer if such topics came from the students themselves, if it were the students who spoke about them to their professors, to the university leadership, or to their spiritual advisors. But after giving it some thought, I realized that even though I don't spend as much time on my dissertation as I should, I'm still a student. And that gives me, at least in a small way, the right to speak on behalf of students. At the same time, my small experience as a priest and my work at the Collegium Orientale here in Eichstätt let me see things from both sides. But not so long ago, I was standing right here in this room receiving my master's diploma. So I still remember very well what it's like to be a student at the university. All the challenges, the doubts, the small victories. Now, through work with students, I've had the chance to listen to many of their stories, to understand what they go through, and in some way to take responsibility for them, to serve them. So today I would like to share through 2 real-life examples why spirituality can play an important and valuable role in students' learning and personal growth. The first story takes us to the university football tournament. In our collegium team, where the most of the guys study theology, there are also a few students from other faculties, quite far from theology. As an alumnus, I'm also allowed to play for our team. Before one of the matches, 2 cheerful girls from our team, definitely not theology students, went around making the sign of the cross on everyone's forehead and saying, God bless you, laughing loudly as they did. To be honest, I thought they were being sarcastic. Our football shirts have the Collegium Orientale logo right there, a Byzantine icon of Jesus blessing, giving a blessing. And students sometimes joke about it. So I took it as just another joke about us church guys. When one of the girls came up to me, I asked her, "Are you serious right now?" She smiled and said, "Of course, I believe in Jesus." That actually convinced me even more that it was a joke. But after the game, which we actually won, thanks God, the same girl came up to me and said, "Sorry, I didn't know you were a priest." This time it made me laugh. I told her that doesn't matter, but when young person suddenly bless you, it feels a bit suspicious. It's not something we expected, especially today. And I added, "But if your blessing was sincere, I'm truly grateful for it." There was a short pause. Then she said quietly, "You know, so many young people today are struggling with depression. It's really hard sometimes. And faith is something, sometimes the only thing that helps us keep going." Unfortunately, the experience of that young woman has become the experience of many other students today. In our modern, fragmented world, young people often feel fragmented themselves. It's not easy to stay whole. But spirituality, in all its forms, is about the search for wholeness, for unity. And this is exactly what young people, what students long for today, unity. Unity, first of all, with themselves, with their own emotions and thoughts, and if they wish, unity with God. So, what can we really offer to young people, to our students? What kind of spirituality can become a real and meaningful part of their learning and personal growth? To answer this question, I will need to share a second real-life example. Just about 2 weeks ago, I had the experience of spending almost 2 weeks at a youth and student event serving as a spiritual guide. During our first meeting, I honestly told them that I didn't have much experience and that I was still learning how to be a spiritual companion for them. So I asked them to think about how they see my role in this event. What is important for them in a spiritual guide? The next day, one of the participants came up to me and said, "You asked what's important for us in a spiritual guide. So what matters to us is that you are here with us. Just be here, just be with us. That's it. Just be with us. No advice, no lectures, no special teachings, just being there." And that, I believe, is the most precious thing we can offer our students. No theoretical spirituality can replace our living presence beside young people. Only in this way can we build the unity that young people long for. Only then can we speak about living, life-giving spirituality. And so, to conclude, yes, spirituality can and should be a real source of support on the journey of students' learning and personal growth. But what we as mentors and educators can truly do is quite simple: to live our own spiritual life and to stay close to our students, to be with them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Father Markian. Thank you for reminding us that we are forever students. We are always learning in the process. Thank you for sharing your insights and allowing us to recognize the fragility in our students and how spirituality can help in making our students become more whole amidst their brokenness. Again, our role as educators to be companions, and the importance of the ministry of presence will help in their journey of healing and formation. So once again, thank you, Father Markian, for blessing us, and God bless you also. All right, for our last speaker, we have a recording. So allow me to introduce Dr. Carol Ma. Dr. Carol Ma is a leading expert in service learning and aging in Asia, serving as head of gerontology programs at the Singapore University of Social Sciences. She pioneered the service learning curriculum in Hong Kong universities and successfully integrated it with the university's curriculum, making it a valuable academic experience in higher education in Hong Kong and in the region. In Singapore, Dr. Carol also spearheads curriculum development, community engagement, and research in gerontology, advocating for transdisciplinary education to address aging issues. She has led impactful projects including Geragogy guidelines, innovative dementia care programs, reminiscence facilitation programs, and older adults functional capacity under the WHO ICOPE framework. And she is an advisor for caregiver and elder care services with the NCSS, a member of the Tote Board Community Health Fund Evaluation Panel, an advisor for the International Longevity Center in Singapore. Internationally, she is an advisor of inclusive learning for the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning and an academic board member of the Uniservitate. A good friend of the Asia and Oceania region, let's all listen to the video recording she prepared for us.
Hello everyone, I'm sorry that I cannot join you all in person. But I actually want to share with you my insights about service learning for a fragmented world, a humanistic and spiritual approach to healing and transformation. So my name is Carol, the Associate Professor of the Singapore University of Social Sciences. So as we all know, right, the world actually is quite fragmented right now, because of social, political, and economic divisions, and then rising individualism and disconnection in the community. And then we also have a lot of ecological crises, including, like the climate change and also increasing mental health challenges and aging population. So we are all living in this VUCA world. I'm sure that you all know about that when we talk about this fragmented world, right? It's also related to the world is actually consistently changing because of the volatility. And then so a lot of uncertainty too, because we don't know what will be the next. It's very difficult for us to predict what will be the next for tomorrow. And then also complexity, because for example, like the use of AI, a lot of things that it seems to make us very efficient, but at the same time, this also make the whole world being devised. And then people may rely on the AI, and then how actually we can really think of the real world, the lateral world, the original thing. So the world is getting compressed as what we can expect. And then, of course, ambiguity. And then we actually know more about one size fits all. And then when we talk about best practice, because different world, different country, different organization have different cultures, history, and then so that is black and white. There is no black and white. That's what we can easily see. And then sometimes gray is also an option. So we have to actually keep asking about what, why, and how. And this actually allow us to think of how we can use service learning to address the need of the the fragmented world. And because of this, right, it's also the call for the healing and transformation. I hope that we all here can also recognize the need for healing at both the societal and individual level. And that's why I like to work with universities, because we see not only about the individual need but also the societal needs. And to get more people and more countries get together, we can have collective impact. So the role of education even very important, because we can actually do community engagement to bridging all the gaps. So service learning, because here the conference is about service learning, and then how we see service learning could be a solution. So what we actually do is service learning combine a rigorous academic study with meaningful and community service. And then this actually can help students to definitely enhance their academic learning and also achieve the aim of the whole person development. And the most important part that I always mention is about the collaborative partnership among the students, service agency, course instructors, and even the service target. So why this is so important? It is not only because service learning is a high impact pedagogy, it actually help us to understand more about, the individual's attitude, skills, knowledge, and values. And this actually is the whole process of the knowledge creation. So throughout the process, we need to have reflection. But the most important why we are all here is because we want to address the societal fragmentation and the need for deeper connection. It's not just about one cause only. I think we are all here is because we see the need in this community. We see the need in the whole world. We want to get together to still connect and then engaging in service to foster empathy, responsibility, and active citizen. So of course, we all are here. We also know that service learning can foster mindful service. And then purposes, action, positive emotions and empathy, transformative and lifelong learning, self-transcendency and also growth, contextual and experiential learning, high-impact educational outcome. But what I want to emphasize here is, other than this, right, we have more study. Now they look into the spiritual health and well-being. And of course, the humanistic values and compassion. That's the reason why I actually also want to focus on the humanistic approach and also spiritual approach. So when we talk about humanistic approach to healing, right, we need to understand about our core values of humanism, which is related to dignity, autonomy, the potential for growth. And we also emphasize empathy, personal responsibility, and social justice. And there are processes to evolve, including evolution, lateral capacity, mortality, consensusless, and also potential. What I want to emphasize a lot is not only this is the whole lateral, human beings' behavior, it's also about how we are aware about our capacity that can consider our choices and whether we have the ability to shape our own life and make a difference to the world through our action. So how actually humanism drive service learning? Promote compassionate action by connecting students with real-world issues. Encourage holistic development of both the individual and the community. Throughout the process, I'm sure that not only the students, but also teachers, community partners, and even our service target, they will experience it. They will also understand why we need to use the humanistic approach, to do service learning. And of course, another approach is about the spiritual approach. And spirituality is not confined to religious belief. We all know that. But religious could be something that can link a lot of people together. Just like Uniservitate, we actually have a lot of Catholic university, they come together. But what I want to mention again is about the interconnectedness. And whether we all understand about this interconnectedness and then how we acknowledging the importance of inner peace, purpose, and collective well-being. And actually, spiritual practice can foster transformation. So somehow, you can even have service learning linked to mediation, mindfulness, compassion-focused practice, and service as a spiritual path, helping others as a way to help, to heal the self. So the crossover between humanistic and also spiritual approach, and that could include, the complementary nature of both elements. Humanism focus on the intellectual, moral, social development of individual. Spirituality emphasizes the inner, emotional, and transcendence aspect of life. So what actually we are here to actually do service learning or design service learning is to encourage students to develop both their minds and hearts through service, which is we always emphasize when we do service learning, we need to emphasize mind, heart, and also body. So benefit of doing service learning in this fragmented role, and for individual, we hope that through this kind of humanities and spiritual approach, then we can create individual have greater empathy, resilience, and emotional intelligence. And then we also hope that they can have personal transformation through direct experience of helping others. So this is a lifelong process. It's not only in a 4 years university education. If we believe we as an educator, we train people how to be, a human being, these are very important to embed into our courses. For community, strengthening of social bond and increased collective well-being, addressing gap in resources and foster the inclusivity. So for society, building a culture of compassion and interdependency, contributing to social change through active participation. Of course, there will be a lot of challenges, but also see a lot of opportunity. So challenges include how to balancing the academic goal with the real world needs. So this actually need to have a lot of discussion with the community and also get experienced service learner, to actually work with the university to actually balance this. Ensuring the service efforts are truly beneficial, but not just a charity. This is the thing that we always highlighted in our service learning. Opportunity for growth. Embrace the potential of service learning to heal division in society. Harmonious, the humanistic and also spiritual approach to empower individual to become the change agent. So which is, again, the opportunities are there. And if a university have a mission to actually train every student become a change agents, so how wonderful of the world, because they are not just, studying. They are the one that will make a lot of impact to the community. So here, I hope that we can call for healing and transformation in service learning and try to address the inner and outer dimension of service learning and ourselves. And then also, again, we need this collective impact and action of service learning in this fragmented world. So I want to quote Martin Luther King, one of the quotes that he mentioned. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. So I hope that we all can get together to see service learning as a powerful tool for nurturing personal growth, healing community, and transforming society in a fragmented world. So at the end, I want to close this with two questions that you can think about. How can you integrate humanistic and also spiritual approach into your own service learning project? What role do you think service learning can play in addressing the fragmentation we see in society nowadays? At the end, what I want to highlight, service learning is not just about doing good. It is about becoming good, awakening the spirit with us to serve with compassion, humility, and also purpose. So again, thank you very much for all your listening, and then we can have more discussion during our Q&A session. So look forward to the Q&A session. Thank you.
So from her sharing, we recognize that service learning fosters healing with deeper connection, nurturing empathy and civic responsibility. She also emphasized the humanistic approach and spirituality in service learning, and this promotes compassion and how this compassion can address social justice issues. Now, the invitation, once again, for us as educators is how we facilitate the deepening of spirituality among our students through their service learning experiences. All right, so we have a few minutes to have our open forum. And so we will invite once again our speakers in front. We'll invite Father Peter and Father Markian and Father Izio to be here. Yes. All right. So we open the floor for some insights as well as some questions as well for our speakers. And also, if you have questions for Dr. Carol Ma, we will take note. Yes?
Thank you so much. We enjoyed wonderful presentations. I would like to seek some clarifications since I'm coming from India. And I also made a presentation today morning. I think this question that I'm going to ask can be presented only in a community like this, because I'm basically a philosophy teacher. If I go for a philosophy seminar, I cannot raise this question that I'm going to ask. So I think this learned community can share your view. First question, Father, I'm really sorry, I don't remember. Jesuit father, I have a lot of Jesuit friends. My uncles were Jesuit fathers. So he was mentioning a very interesting, inspiring story of the Jesuit service learning journey. I'll tell you two important incidents. One is a book. That is by Michel Foucault. Foucault wrote a book called Foucault in Iran. And he calls this Islamic revolution, the Ayatollah Khomeini, as a philosophy or theology of liberation. I do not know. He forgets the whole of liberation theology of Latin America or Catholic Christian theologians. And another thinker who is from the same line, Zizek, he is glorifying what has happened in Afghanistan, Taliban. It's a wonderful thing. That's what he's telling. This is one side. The other side, a wonderful movie by, I don't remember the name of the director, but Laos Krasnakora, the Nobel Prize winner of this time, Hungarian. The Turin Horse, that was the name of the movie. And the movie is Nietzsche, great Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. He was in Turin, he was walking out, one day walking on the pavement or somewhere, and he sees a horse. And the owner of the horse is beating the horse violently. And Nietzsche said, stop, stop. He's not stopping. He's going, hugging the horse and crying. And after some time, they say that after that, Nietzsche became mad, schizophrenic. And Nietzsche said in all his philosophy, any empathetic, caring feeling is against the progress of humanity. But the same man is falling into this kind of what you call complete collapse for the sake of empathy. So Father mentioned about Viktor Frankl, hope. So these are two extremes. Why people like Foucault? I won't think Foucault is lesser in intelligence. One of the greatest of thinkers. Or Zizek is another great thinker. Why these people are not able to see lack of hopelessness, murder, violence? I do not know. I just seek some kind of a deliberation or a word of advice to me from this learned community. Thank you so much.
I didn't really get the question. What is the question here? What is the question to us that I can answer from our experience? I can only say these young women want to study. We have a lot of Muslim students, young people, whatever culture.
Symbol.
They find
I'll put it
education-
simply. Forget about all that I said.
Okay.
Question is very simple. When Jesuits go to Afghanistan, Taliban says, stop, get out. And again, other parts of the globe. For example, Jesuits are doing a lot of things in India. They are also indirectly, many people are telling, stop, get out. What would be the real inspiration that keeps you going or moving? Thank you.
I'll give you the answer. The answer comes from the students. They want to learn, and as long as they want to learn, they know the risk. They will assess the risk. The young women say we want to study, and as long as they want to study, we offer them good content that they can make up their own mind what they want to study. They give the answer, not me.
What are the biggest challenges you face in your program? So I have 3 questions. I put all the questions. What have been and what are the main challenges of Jesuit Worldwide program?
The biggest challenges are sometimes the universities. They have so many regulations from the state, and they find it hard to offer bachelor degrees. And at times, presidents change, the policy changes. That is the only. I had this year 4 programs. 2 are still in the one has whatever, the other one we could save. That commitment of universities to the poor, the margins, and also to understand this is not just charity. This is not charity. This is education for those who deserve it. And the quality and the demand of online learning is even higher in most cases than normally, than when you sit in a classroom. So sorry if I'm a little bit open with you, but it's not the students.
So thank you. If you don't have question, I have question for Brother. We heard you sing yesterday, and my question is a little bit connected to that. How do you think music can foster spirituality and education? It's a big question. Can you sing? Can you sing something?
Sing maybe with our choir alone. It's, I don't know. Well, for us, Eastern churches or students from Eastern churches, music is one of the most important parts of our spiritual life, and that's why I think it's really important element of growth and spirituality. But there are a lot of different instruments in Christianity, in spirituality, and everyone looks for oneself, which one is for him, for her, and then they can use it. So music is, yes, it is, but there are different ways to do it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Froilan from University of Santo Tomas. We're talking about spirituality, and I know that our speakers were all ordained priests. How about spirituality coming from the lay persons, lay people, like scientists here, biologists? What can these people say about when they conduct service learning or research in the field? From us, from the Global South universities, we immerse with communities and we see the spirituality of people, but we are not ordained priests, we are not ordained nuns. So maybe not a question direct to the speakers, maybe later, but I would like to ask the participants here, the experience of doing service learning and research on the ground, how can we measure or sense spirituality? Not from an ordained priest, but from us, like lay persons.
Yeah. Maybe anyone from the audience who would like to share on that particular thought, on that particular insight? How do we as educators can facilitate and allow appreciation from our students, their spirituality, and how they can deepen their spirituality, I guess, through service learning? Anyone? Yes, Father.
I mean, I gave you students. The students spoke. They spoke about values. Some are Muslims, some are Christians. Whatever. They spoke indigenous, like Laura. They spoke about the values. We do not talk about spirituality because the one course which made the 16 people who go into prison was a course on Abrahamic religions, one unit, and the Taliban said, you are promoting Christianity when we talk about Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. So we do not talk about that. The only word what we might use, men and women fathers, is a kind of a Jesuit phrase, but the way the people understand the students, they are lay people, so you have heard them, their spirituality.
¿Puedo hacerlo en español porque tenemos las intérpretes? ¿Ah, no? Ah, ok. Bueno, dale. Entonces...
Maria will translate.
Me parece muy interesante tu pregunta.
I think it's very interesting your question.
Okay. Porque creo que tenemos un desafío muy grande todos los que estamos aquí.
Because all of us who are here have a very big challenge.
Y yo cuando estoy en la universidad como profesor o como investigador,
and when I'm at the university as a professor or as a researcher,
pienso que tenemos un campo heterogéneo de estudiantes, de docentes, de investigadores.
I think that we have a very heterogenic field of faculty, researchers, students.
Y que respetar la dignidad de cada uno
and to respect dignity of each of them
es reconocer el momento en el que están
it's to recognize the moment in which each of them are
y también tener la valentía de anunciar el Evangelio.
And also to be the courage to announce the Evangelio, the New Testament.
¿De Evangelio? Del Evangelio.
New Testament, the word.
Creo que ese es un profundo desafío que tenemos los educadores en general y en la universidad en particular.
That is a very profound challenge that we have as educators and the university in general.
Porque la espiritualidad no la puede transmitir solamente un religioso.
Because spirituality cannot be transmitted only from a religious person.
Es un regalo que Dios nos da y que tenemos que anunciar y compartir con todos.
It's a gift that God gives to each of us, and we have to announce and give to the others.
¿Puedo hacer una pregunta? A question for Father Ezio? Okay. Tú hablaste de que educar es formar santos.
You said that to educate is to form saints.
Y pienso que el aprendizaje servicio es un camino de santidad.
But he thinks that service learning is a way to sanctity.
¿Podrías explicarnos un poco más o decirnos alguna palabra más sobre la santidad y el servicio?
Could you explain or give us some more words regarding spirituality, sanctity and service learning?
Rispondo in italiano. Sì, ma innanzitutto la frase che la scuola deve formare santi non l'ho detta io, l'ha detta Papa Leone XIV.
So first of all, the sentence, the main aim of the school is to prepare people to be saints, is not mine, is by Pope Leo.
E penso che è interessante vedere che la prima delle 3 nuove emergenze oppure dei 3 nuovi obiettivi del nuovo patto educativo riguarda proprio la spiritualità.
So it's interesting to highlight that among the 3 goals, the first of the 3 new goals of the Global Compact on Education that Pope Leo gave us is about spirituality, interior development and spirituality.
E questa richiesta è stata avanzata dai giovani stessi, infatti in questi ultimi anni come patto educativo globale siamo stati alla giornata mondiale della gioventù, che c'era anche la professoressa Maria e altri colleghi, siamo stati al giubileo dei giovani e abbiamo fatto una domanda a migliaia di giovani, cioè come sogni l'educazione del futuro, cosa desideri, ecco, per la tua educazione del futuro.
Okay. So this goal was added because of a request, specific request of young people. During the Youth World Day in Lisbon 2 years ago, we collected some requests. So we asked young people, what do you desire for the future of education? And many answers concern spiritual well-being and interior development. So this is why it was included.
Sì, infatti a grande meraviglia noi ci aspettavamo che la risposta fosse, non so, vogliamo più tecnologia, più scienza, più ingegneria, più intelligenza artificiale. Invece a sorpresa hanno chiesto di essere educati alla vita interiore.
So we suppose they would focus on more technology, more engineering, more artificial intelligence. Otherwise, they focused on interior development and spiritual life.
Dunque penso che questo è il punto iniziale, principale, cioè una volta risolta la questione del senso della vita, acquista senso anche tutto il resto, cioè il voler imparare, il voler servire, il voler amare, ma se non abbiamo risolto questa prima questione fondamentale, ecco, tutto perde significato, anche lo stesso educare, apprendere e servire.
So this is the main point, so the search for meaning. Once that young people have found the meaning of life, then everything has meaning. So has meaning to learn, to serve, and also on our side it has meaning to educate, to instruct. But first of all, the meaning is important. And can you spread just a little bit about the Swedish writer, and we finish with that. The history you couldn't say because you focused on Saint Walpurga.
Yeah.
I was curious, sorry. It's time for lunch.
Sì. Ecco, io avevo preparato un discorso, diciamo, più intellettuale, più accademico, però poi sono stato affascinato da questa figura di santa, allora ho cambiato totalmente. Però in quel discorso ero rimasto affascinato da Dagerman, che lui aveva scritto il nostro bisogno di consolazione, e poi lui si è tolta la vita a 31 anni.
So, because it's connected with the search for meanings, this young writer who committed suicide when he was 31, he wrote something of our need of consolation.
E c'è una frase che mi ha colpito molto e che penso brucia ancora oggi. Lui ha scritto: mi manca la fede e non potrò mai essere un uomo felice, perché un uomo felice non può avere il timore che la propria vita sia solo un vagare insensato verso una morte certa.
Okay, so it's a burning sentence, it's a hard sentence. So I miss the faith, I don't have faith, and I will never be happy because a happy man can't be afraid that his life is only walking, so walking and big, an insensate walking towards a certain death.
Dunque penso che noi come educatori, le questioni fondamentali della vita sono un fatto privato, dunque ogni studente se lo risolve da solo, o noi anche come educatori dobbiamo educare perlomeno alla ricerca del senso della vita. È questo che dobbiamo interrogarci come educatori.
Okay, as educators, do we have to think that these issues are private questions of students, or do we help them to solve these basic important questions?
Perché ciò che ci cambia la vita o ci salva la vita non è conoscere la storia di Napoleone o il teorema di Pitagora, ma è proprio conoscere il perché noi esistiamo.
Because what changes our lives is not to know the history of Napoleon or the theorem of Pythagoras, but why we are on this earth. So what is our life? Thank you.
Thank you. I think we still have one more.
So my name is Simone Birkel, here from KU Eichstätt-Ingolstadt. So thank you very much for the good question. I want to get to the question and then have a connection to you. So as you may know, I work now at the School of Transformation and Sustainability, and it's a very new faculty, and it was further the faculty of religion education. We have to transform ourselves because we have no students anymore who wants to study religions education. And then we thought we bring this idea to a bigger audience, and this goes hand in hand with the question how to live our spirituality with professors who are or colleagues who are not theologians. So we have now a professor of economic and some other stuffs. So, and how do we live our spirituality? This was our challenge. And we are lucky to have a literature colleague, and she does rituals with us, with all the students, with all the faculty members. And this was the way we get connected to our spirituality. Marina, and this we are trying out. We are figuring out it, and but we feel this is a good way for all students, for the lecturers, even to them they are not religious, and it works because the seeking for spirituality is here, and that leads me to you, Father Bono. My heart was really warmed when you mentioned Walburga, because it's the first walk what I do with my students, to go to St. Walburg and show them the family. And so I want to invite you, if you have time after closing, to lead you to St. Walburg, and a second step to our learning lab, because this is connected very well, because it's the spirit of our School of Transformation and Sustainability. And if you want to join me, you are welcome. Thank you.
So, are there other, maybe one more, if there's, okay. So we have one last.
Yeah. Good morning, Father. I'm Jimmy Caldea from De La Salle University, Philippines. My question is about the critique of the integration of spirituality in the academics. They are saying, or there's this risk and fear of the delusion of the academic rigor when we speak of spirituality in the courses, and also the fear of self-absorption through reflection, that maybe students will just simply focus on oneself. So how can you somehow advise universities in integration of spirituality in processing this kind of discussions inside the classroom, and maybe some policy that we can consider moving forward with our intention to integrate spirituality in our service learning?
Sì, io penso che il rischio di perdere il rigore accademico non esiste, in quanto la teologia, che tratta appunto di Dio, della spiritualità, è una delle più grandi scienze. Se pensiamo a San Tommaso, pensiamo a Sant'Agostino, pensiamo il terzo più grande teologo, secondo me, della storia della Chiesa, che è Benedetto XVI, che è appunto anche lui di questa terra, no? Della Bavaria. Ecco, queste sono figure di un'estrema intelligenza e di un estremo rigore scientifico che non hanno nulla da invidiare a qualsiasi altro accademico. Anzi, se avete seguito anni fa il discorso e l'incontro tra Benedetto XVI, no, quando era ancora cardinale, con Habermas, che è considerato il più grande filosofo vivente, secondo me Habermas ha fatto una figura meschina di fronte all'intelligenza di Benedetto XVI. E dunque non c'è il pericolo che parlare di Dio, della fede, della spiritualità usciamo dalla scienza.
It's long to translate, but I will try to do my best. So the first issue was about academic rigor. So Father Ezio answered that I don't see this connection between spirituality and academic rigor, if we understood correctly your answer, because your question, because we can think of famous theologians like St. Augustine, St. Thomas, and among all the others, Pope Benedict XVI, who met once the famous philosopher Habermas, and they had a dialogue, and Benedict had a good, played a good role. So, what do you...
Sì, cioè volevo dire appunto che non ha sfigurato, anzi, Habermas, non Benedetto XVI.
I don't know if you agree, but Habermas was not at the same level of Benedict XVI. You agree? So, you were there. Yes, so Habermas was not at the same level. Benedict XVI was at a higher level, so to say.
Poi la seconda questione appunto è se la spiritualità è una cosa privata. È proprio questo, secondo me, quello che dobbiamo interrogarci noi come scuole cattoliche. Cioè, se noi nella scuola cattolica, nell'università cattolica non parliamo anche, vorrei dire soprattutto, ma dico anche di Gesù Cristo, non c'è nessuna differenza tra noi e le altre scuole statali o private. Ecco, quello che fa la differenza è questa ricchezza di Gesù Cristo, e dunque conoscere Gesù Cristo, la sua parola, con la sua vita, è questo che è il più grande tesoro che noi possiamo dare ai nostri studenti. E Papa Francesco, in un incontro sul patto educativo, diceva agli educatori una cosa molto interessante. Diceva: non possiamo tacere alle giovani generazioni le verità che danno senso alla vita. Perché lui diceva, sarebbe come, cioè non parlare della fede per rispetto di chi non crede, lui diceva, sarebbe come, non so, bruciare i libri per rispetto di chi non sa leggere, o bruciare le opere d'arte per rispetto di chi è cieco, o di spegnere la musica per rispetto di chi è sordo. Assolutamente non possiamo spegnere o non parlare di Dio perché ci sono quelli che non credono in Dio.
Okay, I will try to synthesize. So about spirituality in Catholic schools and university, what Father Ezio says, we cannot avoid talking about Jesus and about God, because this is our identity, and also because mentioning what Pope Francis said some years ago to the educators gathered for the Global Compact on Education, he said exactly this: we cannot lie, or we cannot avoid talking about the truth that give meaning to life,
it is as if we will burn the books because there are people who can't read. We stop the music because there are people who can't hear, and so on. So we have to talk about the truths that make meaning in life.
All right. So thank you very much. I guess this is the end of our session. Thank you very much to our speakers, Father Peter, Father Markian, and Father Izio. And thank you very much for the translation. And Maria also helping in the translation. Thank you very much for a very engaging session. I'll turn you over to Ola.
Short organizational message. You will have now a 1-hour break for lunch. You know the system where Mensa is. Let us meet in 2:30 here for our last student session. That will be very important to give us a voice to our students. So let us meet in 1 hour. I hope you have your vouchers.